Yeah, and I'm glad that you got your voice back. So maybe we should reschedule you for Sunday night. How about that? You are leaving Monday?
No, it's impossible because we have a problem on the heart.
He's here about that. Elena.
Oh, I thought that's understood. Okay. I would like to address two figures in relation to the example. One of them is the frame or paragon. Or
the frame of?
The frame as a paradigm. Well, the relationship between frame and paradigm, I could not phrase it quite precisely now. And the other is the paradigm as a fragment, as a singularity. And there is a certain paradox here which I would like to address. If we think the fragment as a fragment of a whole, as a there are different things in which we could think the fragment. To what extent we could think that the example as a fragment.
Mm-hmm. In a way it is, no? Aristotle says meros, so a part, a particular meaning of a part. Mm-hmm.
And as a part which actually constitutes the whole, i.e. as a frame. And there is a kind of double folding here which I could not quite grasp. But Wolfgang, you got me like unprepared. I thought that I have 30 seconds more to think about the question.
Never time to think. Always now. Okay, but the point is,
so what is the
frame is the paradigm and the fragments, how this fits together.
Yeah.
So the first point we can discuss after. I don't understand what you mean with seeing the frame as a paradigm. The second, on the contrary, there is a strong analogy. No, in a way, yes. The paradigm is a part, it's a fragment of a set, of a whole. And so it's a member of a set which is excluded, withdrawn from it, in order to show its belonging to it, by means of its belonging to it. And so, in a way, there can be. So, in a way, the fragment could be as a kind of paradigm for the whole, which is the relationship when a fragment pretends to be more than that, so hints to a more general, infinite dimension. Perhaps the fragment could be, in that moment, could act as a kind of paradigm for the whole. Perhaps.
Then the fragment is a pure singularity. Okay, as a pure singularity, that's my phrasing. It seems that in your phrasing, the paradigm is a mean for homogenization of the set, but at the same time it is a singularity, and there is a certain paradox here.
Yeah, I didn't say homogenization. This is the paradigm. The paradox of the paradigm. The problem of the paradigm is precisely as you said, that it is a singularity which, in some way, stands for all the others. But I try to show that this is done. So it's a part, an element of a set, which is withdrawn from it by means of the exhibition of its own belonging to it, because what the paradigm shows is precisely its belonging to it, but being suspended from this belonging by means of the suspension of this belonging. So this is the strange movement of an example.
But that's exactly what we are interested in. Is that the fragment in the form of paradigm can be an organizing principle and help us to get a kind of overview we so certainly lack in a situation
yes,
where everything is...
There is no reason why a fragment could not act as a paradigm.
I understand the paradigm precisely as a fragment.
Okay. You do it later. Right. Abigail?
Before the question, I just wanted to clarify one thing. Did you say or suggest that this kind of got sprung from the tyranny of metonymic kinds of displacements?
Yeah, I referred, someone said that Foucault freed this historical investigation from the tyranny of the metonymical context and substituted them with the primacy of the metaphorical context. And the paradigm belongs in a way to this second category. I wouldn't say metaphor, I would say paradigm.
That surprised me because with the power on the beside, I thought that would be more within the family of metonymic displacement. So I was surprised by that.
I understand. No, but then metonymic there stood only for chronological, geographical. I was referring to historian investigation, which usually use chronological or geographical or both contexts. So it's not my idea. So it was someone who made this opposition.
Because I thought that then you kind of unraveled that in your elaboration in an interesting way. But I wanted to just, I noticed that there's a kind, one can trace a certain movement from your mentioning of ignorance and understanding or non-understanding that then moves toward a certain kind of light of the paradigm. By the way, I was very interested in what you said and attributed to Schleiermacher about having to understand an author better than he understands himself, because in his letters to Schlegel, he freaks out at one point and he says, well, I don't know if we can continue to be best friends because I don't understand a thing you write or anything. And Schlegel writes back and says, actually, our friendship should be based and affirmed by non-understanding. And so Schleiermacher was always, of course, on the side of this necessary understanding and even its excess, and he was very shattered by not understanding the work, especially of his friend. I guess if it's a question, it's that it appears to me that despite the very interesting destabilization of an ontology and the undecidability of the seeming and being, does paradigm ever question its capacity to know? I mean, we were talking about knowability and unintelligibility, because your talk has one register according to which it begins with Coleridge and ignorance and certain stupefying paralyses, and then moves to a place where maybe the epistemological presumption isn't entirely shattered. I mean, this may not be interesting to you, but this is one register that I was able to follow on track in your talk.
Yes, but and then your question, what would be?
The question is that it seems to me that was almost like a rocket. It took off, and then you let it drop, the booster, which was the ignorance, and let's say another side, maybe this is related to what Wolfgang asked, the other side of knowability, which was almost in the beginning, gave the energy to the demonstration, but was kind of withdrawn, and then I don't know whether knowability or intelligibility was questioned by you, or maybe it was. And maybe this is interesting as an